Hey folks, my name's Ryan Gurnett, and welcome to Side Quests During the Apocalypse. This is our weekend sale video for July 17th and 18th. This is the console edition, and we'll be highlighting our favorite sales in both the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. We've got 9 games to talk about, so let's get started. First up, on the PlayStation 4, The Last of Us Remastered. The Last of Us remains one of my all-time favorite games. It is the story of Joel and Ellie as they try to make it across the United States in a not-so-distant dystopian future where there's military law and zombies, and where we learn that the dangerous beast of all is man. It tells a really beautiful story of Joel, who is an old gruff man who lost a daughter when he was younger, and Ellie, a young girl who is immune to the zombie disease and might be the guide to finding a cure for it. So the dialogue's brilliant. I'm not a big stealth guy. The stealth played out really well. If you're a fan of the Uncharted games, I would absolutely recommend jumping on this. And yeah, you will not regret playing this game. This game is absolutely worth all the accolades that it's gotten. And next up, we have Beyond Two Souls. This is an interactive movie type game along the vein of Heavy Rain, starring Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe. This game stars Elliot as a young woman named Jodie Holmes, who has some form of telekinesis and special powers, and Willem Dafoe plays the doctor who's trying to get to the bottom of it. This game takes place throughout Jodie's life, and also takes place out of chronological order, but in a way that helps tell the story the best. If you're into games like Heavy Rain, this is a great game to play. It also reminds me of Detroit 2 Human as well, and in addition to controlling Jodie's character, you also control this telekinetic force that is within her as well, so you can either function within her body or separate from it, and there's a lot of really interesting puzzles and good storytelling here. And then we have God of War 3 Remastered, the final game of the original God of War trilogy. We're just going to forget Ascension ever happened because, yeah, we don't need that. This game is a powerhouse. Even as a PS3 game ported to the PS4, it is still violent, gory fun. It still has huge set-piece battle moments where you're fighting statues and where you're fighting the giant titans. And, you'll fight a creature that's 5,000 times looking bigger than you, and you'll climb on them and you'll slice them, and it is a lot of fun. And the set pieces are great. The way it finishes up the God of War story is great, and it certainly prepares you for the PS4 relaunch of the whole series. I'd absolutely recommend this game if you're a fan of any sort of fighting games at all. And if you haven't had a chance to play through this series, get on that. What are you doing with your time, man? And next up, we have Resident Evil 4, my personal favorite game in the Resident Evil series. It is marked down from $20 to just $8. That is fantastic. I found a ton of replay value in this action horror game. So this tells the story of Leon Kennedy, who has gone to some random European town to save the president's daughter. Now, why the president sent only one person to come get his daughter, I don't understand that part as much, but it's a fantastic adventure. It has lots of cool characters, some mainstays of the Resident Evil franchise, like the chainsaw guy with the bag on his head. The action's fun, the puzzles are great. This is my favorite of the series. This is probably the best turn-based RPG of the last 2 or 3 years. It has a really unique story, as you are one of the Phantom Thieves, and the Phantom Thieves are trying to break into the minds and hearts of those doing horrible things and fix them. And it's certainly something that would only fit in a JRPG. The way the combat works is a nice update on the turn-based. It has a system where you try and hit characters' weak spots. You can see the cutscenes here are gorgeous. All the visuals are good. The music's fantastic. Even when you go into the menus, like the way everything looks, just it oozes this really fantastic style. And for $9, you'll probably get about 110 to 120 hours out of this at least. If you're a completionist, that can take up to 300 hours. I've been a big Persona fan for a while, and this game is great. Next up, my favorite sale of the week is Thomas Was Alone. This game is usually $10, and it is marked down to 99 cents. Buy this game. It is a puzzle platformer in which you control a bunch of different shapes, starting with Thomas. And each new shape has a different function and a different name and different characteristics. And Mike Bithell tells a really fun story about how all these characters get along. And the gameplay itself is fantastic, but when you add in the dialogue, and then after I finished the game, I went back and played it again, because you can play it with Mike Bithell's commentary, so hearing kind of the things that went into a lot of the design behind this game I found really interesting. This was a really, really early on, I think it might even been PlayStation Plus game, and it's an absolute blast, and if you can get it for $1, like, jump on that. Run to it. And next up, we have our Nintendo Switch games for the week. Our first one is Daddish II. This game is marked down from $10 to just $2. If you go onto our page, you can actually see I have the Daddish 1 walkthrough that you can see, my complete playthrough of the game. This is a sequel to that, so where Daddish 1, you were saving all of your little radish children from a forest that they could not get out of on their own. This time, they're bothering you at work. It's bring your kid to work day, and all of your radish children have decided on showing up, and now you need to save them because your office is full of razor blades and killer donuts. Just go with it. The game has a great sense of humor. So Daddish 1 was really good. This one kind of takes everything and ramps it up. It takes elements out of games like Super Mario World, and now some new stuff like they have barrels like in Donkey Kong Country, and they're really trying to kind of differ up the way that the action happens, and it's a lot of fun. Next up, we have Letter Quest Remastered, and I am a giant geek for letter and spelling games. Also, I'd like to thank my staff for taking a clip where I could not remember how to spell the word tongue for the life of me. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Anyway, this game functions as a role-playing game where the amount of damage you do to your enemy is all based off of the type and length of word that you come up with. If you look in the bottom right, you'll see that certain characters take different damage from different types of words. Like some will do, if you have two of the same vowel together in a word, that'll do quadruple damage. There's items, there's power-ups. It's a fun, nice word game if it's the kind of thing that might interest you. I definitely recommend it. I got my platinum trophy in this, and I had a blast with it. And next up, we have Figment. I haven't put a lot of time into this game, but when I saw it was 87% off, I knew I wanted to talk about it. The footage you're seeing is actually my first time really playing through the game. Figment is a 2.5D platform adventure game. Think Bastion. Like, if you look at the visuals that you see in front, the way the action and everything plays out, it really reminds me of Bastion for the first hour that I put into it so far. The game starts where a family's arguing, and then they get into a car accident, and then it kind of takes you to this world where you're trying to figure out kind of what's going on. So I'll be curious to see how it ties into the grand story, but I haven't really had enough time to kind of figure that out, but with a sale this good, I absolutely felt like I had to mention it. A 7-hour game that looks like Bastion and plays really cool and has beautiful, amazing visuals for $2.59 is exceptional. Now, what am I buying this week? Ooh. I am picking up Vandals on the Nintendo Switch. I'm a big fan of both Lara Croft Go and the Hitman Go games, and this is really seems like a continuation of the series. In this one, you are trying to evade the police and get to a certain point to vandalize. So you're spray painting whatever you want on a wall, which I think is a really interesting mechanic to bring into this type of game. So the way it works is you try to avoid the cops so you have enough time to spray paint something. Once you spray paint something, they know you're there, so then you just got to get out on that last point. And it's an hour-long game, but for $2, I figured it was worth it. It is handheld only, which is something I'm not a fan of because it makes it hard to record games for me, for people, and also I just prefer having the controller in my hand. But this still looks like it's going to be a really fun game, and if it's only an hour long, I can deal with the handheld for that long. So I'm curious to really get into it. So that's everything we have, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at SQDTA. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/strugglingproductions. Please give us a thumbs up and a subscribe and hit the little bell thing and leave a comment. There's so much to do. Why would you ever leave? Please don't leave. Thanks, folks. I'm Ryan Gurnett, and we'll see you next week.